Among the Jews, there was a particular class of men who were despised and looked down upon by the people more than any other. These were known as publicans. They were responsible for collecting the taxes imposed by the Roman rulers on the land. While some publicans were characterized by greed and cruelty, not all of them were dishonest. Some were honest individuals who collected only what was required for taxes. However, due to the prevalent negative behavior of many publicans, the entire group was scorned and labeled as sinners. One day, as Jesus was leaving Capernaum for the seaside, a large crowd of people followed him. During this journey, he encountered a publican named Matthew or Levi, who was stationed at his table, collecting taxes from the people. Jesus possessed the ability to perceive the true nature of people's hearts, and he saw potential in Matthew to become one of his disciples. Jesus looked at Matthew and uttered the words, "Follow me." Without hesitation, Matthew left his table and joined Jesus. The sight of a publican among the disciples surprised many, including Peter, John, and the others. Jesus, however, believed in the inherent goodness present in people from all walks of life. While most of Jesus' followers were humble fishermen, Matthew was among the first to respond to Jesus' call, displaying his bravery and loyalty. The first book of the New Testament, authored by Matthew, bears his name. After some time had passed since Matthew's calling, he organized a grand feast in Jesus' honor at his home. Many publicans and individuals labeled as sinners by the Jewish society were invited to the event. The Pharisees, who were religious leaders of the time, noticed Jesus sitting among these individuals and questioned his disciples with disdain. "Why does your master dine with publicans and sinners?" Upon hearing about the Pharisees' inquiry, Jesus responded, "Healthy individuals do not require a physician. It is the sick who need medical attention. I am with these people because they acknowledge their sins and seek salvation. I have come to call not those who consider themselves righteous, but those who acknowledge their need for improvement." On one evening, Jesus went alone to a mountain situated near Capernaum. A multitude of people, along with his disciples, followed him, but Jesus chose to ascend the mountain's summit to seek solitude. Throughout the night, he engaged in prayer to his Father, God. In the morning, Jesus selected 12 individuals from his followers. These 12 men were chosen to walk with him, listen to his teachings, and eventually carry forth his message to others. While some of these individuals had previously been called by Jesus, he renewed his call for them to become his disciples. The term the 12 or the disciples was used to refer to this group, and after Jesus' ascension, they came to be known as the apostles. This designation reflected their role as individuals sent out to spread the gospel to the world. The 12 disciples or apostles included Simon Peter and his brother Andrew, James and John, who were the sons of Zebedee, Philip of Bethsaida, Nathanael, also known as Bartholomew, Thomas, also referred to as Didymus, Matthew the publican or tax gatherer, another James, identified as James the Less to distinguish him from the first James, the brother of John, Lebbaeus, who was also called Thaddeus or Judas, Simon, known as the Cananaean or Simon Zelotes, and Judas Iscariot, who would eventually betray Jesus. Although information about most of these men is limited, some of them played significant roles in later events. Simon Peter emerged as a leader among the apostles. While many were ordinary men, their devotion to Jesus remained unwavering, and some even faced persecution and death for their beliefs. In front of a gathered multitude, Jesus called the 12 disciples to stand by his side. From the mountain, he delivered a sermon to both his disciples and the crowd. While Jesus spoke, the disciples stood beside him, and the audience faced him. This significant discourse is known as the Sermon on the Mount. The text of this sermon, recorded by Matthew, can be found in the 5th, 6th, and 7th chapters of his Gospel. Jesus commenced the sermon with these words directed at his disciples: "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." During this sermon, Jesus also taught the people how to pray, providing them with what is now known as the Lord's Prayer. Concluding the sermon, Jesus offered these words: "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash." These teachings in the Sermon on the Mount encapsulated the essence of Jesus' message and his call for righteous living.